The first step of harnessing your personal power is to observe your mind. Does anybody have a sense of how many thoughts the average person thinks in a day? Want to give it a shot? I went to a school, actually in Lagos, Nigeria, and one of the kids said 20. I said, no, it's a little bit higher than that, a little bit higher. But what about adults here? Anyone want to give it a guess?
1,500?
1,500 is one answer from the audience. Anybody else want to give it a shot?
100,000.
100,000, that's a bit high. Somewhere right there in the middle. Each of us thinks anywhere from 40 to 50,000 thoughts during the day. So the question is, how many of those thoughts are going in the direction of what you don't want to experience in your life? How many are going in the direction of what you do want to experience and create? That's an interesting question, isn't it? Think of your thoughts as a lovely buffet table in front of you. Okay, you walk into a restaurant and there's a buffet lunch and there's any and every dish possible on this buffet table. Where do you choose to eat from? Most people, when they're eating, would go and fill their plates with the things that they enjoy. Let me take some pounded yam, let me take some agouti, let me take some pasta, French fries, whatever. But then why, when we're eating in our minds and ingesting in our minds, do we go to those dishes that we hate? We despise these dishes, but we eat and 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 we eat from them, and then we feel sick. We feel bad all the time. What are we doing to ourselves? Is life doing that to us? Or are we doing that to us? Well, I learned by observing my mind that I was creating my own suffering. I was creating my own discomfort. How did I find that out? Each of us has an aspect of ourselves that is greater than our mind. I actually read a book recently by a woman named Jill Bolte Taylor, and she is a Harvard scientist who studies the brain. She says that the part of your mind that controls your thinking, guess how big it is? It's the size of a peanut. The peanut controls our lives. This little thinker that thinks all these thoughts, it's so small, but we give it so much power. But what's wonderful is that we have a greater aspect of ourselves. When you're in a conversation with someone and you're talking back and forth, and there's part of you that's looking at your thoughts and you're thinking while you're talking, oh boy, this person doesn't really look that great. And oh, I wonder if I look okay. And you're thinking all these, oh, you know what, I gotta go pick up my child. You're still having this conversation, but there's an aspect of you that can have that conversation and look at what's going on in your mind at the same time. So we can have a look into our thoughts, can't we? We are not our thoughts. We are greater than our thoughts. So the observer can become your best friend. And I suggest that you allow the observer to become your best friend. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, the observer is available to you. And if you put the observer to work and you begin to look into your mind and look closely at what's going on in your mind, you're going to see some opportunities. The three aspects that I suggest you begin to observe in your mind are your self-talk. What is it that you say about yourself? What's the opinions that you have? What is your inner critic telling you about what you look like and how good or bad you're doing in life? Self-talk is one area that you can begin to observe. Another area that you can begin to observe is your fears. What are you afraid of? What brings up that panic? Where's the panic buttons that you have inside? Is it your finances? Is it what other people are going to think of you? Is it whether you're going to have a failed marriage? What brings that panic? Is it that your husband might be cheating on you? Is it that your kids might not be who you want them to be? What brings that fear up inside of you? Start to look at that. The third aspect that I would suggest you begin to look at is your mind focused most of the time on the past, the present moment, or the future? Do you know that most people spend 95% of their thinking time in the past or the future? That leaves 5% of our thoughts to the present moment. Where do we have any power? In the present moment. This is the only moment we can impact. The past was a present moment. We had power there. We did certain things and created a certain result. The future, we can't affect that yet. It's going to be a present moment eventually. Where do you have power? You have power in the present moment. What if you were to give more of your thinking and your energy to the present moment? So I'm going to ask you to start looking at what percentage of your time do you spend in the past? What percentage do you spend in the future? How much are you present? How often are you present? What I found, and I'm going to be honest with you, okay? Because to bring about change, you got to be honest. So let me be the example tonight. I found the following self-talk. You're not a good enough wife or mom. You never get enough done. Why can't you do more? That's what I believed about myself. Other people didn't see me that way. That's how I saw me. When I looked at my fears, what I saw was, oh my goodness, is my daughter going to be normal? Is she going to be okay? Are my finances going to crumble? Am I going to end up feeling miserable all the time and never live the dreams that I have? Those were the fears that kept coming up. And for me, I'm a future-oriented person. I was thinking all the time, oh, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? What's going to happen? And I would literally think about it until I felt sick inside myself. Sometimes I didn't even want to eat because I felt sick to my stomach when I thought about the future. So what I would like for you to do is to join me tonight in looking at your mind. And I'm going to just give you a couple minutes to begin observing. It's not going to be enough time to go in depth. And again, this is a first step of many, and you should use your observation now for the rest of your life. But take some time to observe your self-talk and your fears, and then maybe write a percentage down on your paper of how much time you spend in the past, in the present, and the future. What is your orientation? So I'm going to give you about 5 minutes to go through and do this exercise. But if you observe your thoughts, you might be surprised at what you find. I certainly was, but it's worth the effort. If you put effort in right now, you're going to walk out of this door with new thoughts that you can begin to use. But the first step is observing where you are right now.